Let's talk about sane washing, shall we? Sane washing generally refers to something that happens on a more public level, if you're not aware of the term. So sane washing will happen, I don't know, if there's a person in public office or a politician or leadership position or some celebrity does some narcissistic stuff, maybe some stuff, maybe a lot of narcissistic stuff. They gaslight, they're vindictive, they shift blame, they betray, they lie to the audience, they play the victim, they throw a tantrum. It's usually some combination of all of the things I just listed. And instead of calling this behavior what it is, a narcissistic mess, the media tries to put a normal spin on it, using words to describe the person in question as unpredictable, having a big personality, audacious, assertive, demonstrative, bombastic, driven, angry, creative, disruptor. I mean, talk about putting lipstick on a pig, right? Now, the media has its own problems, right? My guess is if they were to call out a public figure as narcissistic, my guess is that they're just worried that they would be sued, or the media outlet is owned by narcissistic people who don't believe in the concept, or they don't want to lose sponsors, or whatever it is. So they're more likely to call someone as divisive than they are just plain old narcissistic. Now, public figures are public figures, right? They breathe different air than the rest of us. And when they've got money and a lot of power, they're protected from regular life stuff, and they get away with their behavior. The problem I have with sane washing, though, is that it not only normalizes narcissistic behavior to everyone else, like people acting like these adult tantrums are somehow normal, it rewards it, it incentivizes it. And again, I don't care if that means that more people post more of the nonsense, look at me doing something ridiculous stuff online, or post shameful stuff online. I'm not thrilled that they're posting more cruel, baiting, trolling nonsense. But that's not the issue here, right? This issue, and this sane washing issue, relates back to what happens in regular people's relationships. The sane washing by the media in society at large, frankly, the sane washing also happens at a smaller level in regular people's regular lives. Sane washing removes any societal guardrails. In essence, the message that the media reinforces is that it takes that hurtful, manipulative, gaslighting, isolating, invalidating behavior and just washes it into like, look at this audaciously assertive person who just has a big personality. And if it's just assertiveness or just a big personality, then the person in the relationship who is enduring the manipulation, the lying, the gaslighting, the blame shifting, and the all-around emotional abuse, well, if somebody's having a hard time just because somebody's got a big personality, well, the person in the relationship just must be making too big a deal of it. Because after all, they're just in a relationship with someone who just likes a little attention and they're a little unpredictable. Silly you. Why are you being so dramatic? That's the problem with sane washing. There's more and more debate on this word narcissism. Is it a diagnosis? No, it's not a diagnosis. What does it really mean? Ultimately, knowing the traits that comprise narcissism can be useful because understanding this as a thing helps you make sense of something that can seem senseless. Now, that said, what really matters more than the traits, frankly, are the behaviors, the invalidation, the callousness, the selfishness, the quick, capricious anger, the entitlement, the behavior that can turn on a dime, and the unwillingness for them to be accountable for their behavior. And then throw in there that some days don't have these behaviors, and some people don't see the person in your life engaging in these behaviors. All of that just adds to the confusion. Recently, someone said to me, they said, I think things are actually kind of getting better in my relationship because they're cursing at me less and they're insulting me less. The problem is that they're still cursing and insulting, not that they're doing it less. That's not better. That's less bad. And less bad doesn't equal better. And over time, the only way to make one of these relationships work is to silence yourself, abandon yourself, become what they want. And that's the relationship. All of this takes a tremendous toll. And for many people, knowing that this pattern, this collection of traits and behaviors was a thing, it had a name, how it worked, it broke through years of confusion people had in these relationships. Didn't necessarily lighten the pain, but it certainly broke through the confusion. Enablers are often the main perpetrators of sane washing and will use these more general words like creative, big personality, assertive to capture these behaviors. So they'll say things like, oh, come on now, that's not abusive. They're just outspoken. Or they'll say things like, oh, they don't mean anything by it. They just need some attention. All of this sane washing often leaves people back at square one. Maybe it is me, because if they're just assertive or outspoken or just a disruptor, well, those are not bad things, are they? Maybe I'm the one who's too sensitive. Social media, the internet, the way the world runs now was all purpose-built for narcissistic people to succeed. And that means the sane washing isn't going to stop anytime soon. In some ways, these platforms only work when you have lots of narcissistic people because they really use them to entertain and get attention. Understanding these patterns, the low likelihood that these patterns are going to change, and the high likelihood that in the long term, being around these patterns is not good for you is crucial. Powerful people will always be narcissistic. That will never change. We would be doing everyone a favor if we just called a duck instead of pretending that it's a swan. Other people can sane wash all they want. The media, people around you. But once you really get this, you can't unsee it. And the toxicity of these behaviors and these patterns will always come through. Knowledge is power, folks. And listen, protect yourself. One thing I would suggest is don't let the sane washers know that you are onto it. Silently understanding the narcissism and the narcissistic behaviors in your midst, that's often the best strategy of all. You can't win a poker game if you show your hand. And you can't manage a narcissistic situation if you call it out. Don't let the sane washing of the media, of the world at large, even of the people around you confuse you. There's this fantasy the world maintains that everyone can be reasoned with. Once you recognize that not everyone can, you will save yourself a world of time, pain, and hurt. So the media can sane wash all they want and soft pedal on what is clearly narcissistic behavior. Hopefully, through all the sources of information out there on narcissism, you realize it's different. Doesn't mean you have to engage about it, and certainly your role in the world is not to prove someone is engaging in narcissistic behavior to someone who doesn't want to see it that way and prefers to see that person as just charismatic or engaging or a big personality. You can know the truth, and then you know how to navigate it better. And the sane washers are just going to sane wash to make this all, to maintain whatever fantasy or vision of the world they want. But don't let the media's myopia stop you from seeing what are really phenomena that not only are doing individuals a lot of harm, it's harming the world at large. Thanks again.